Alright, first off, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Makakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Shalom to the brothers in the highways and byways pushing this word in all sincerity and truth. The sisters, the believers, the helps. Shalom. This is the brother Irawam from James Jamaica Camp, coming with another quick lesson. And this is our exhortation, for the hopeful elect. That hey, the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushai is gonna fight for us. Just like when we were leaving Egypt, and the Lord destroyed Pharaoh and his armies. In the time to come, when World War III, pops off, when the missiles drop, when in the time of Jacob's trouble as well. Salakia, in time of Jacob's trouble, in the hour of temptation, which is right upon us with with the C about to be implemented, in the times of the V being implemented, which is we're at the doors, the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushua will fight for us, right? And we need to have faith in that, right? Because the scriptures can't lie. So let me get straight into it. This is Deuteronomy 32, verse 39. See now that I, even I am he, and there is no God with me. I kill and I make alive. I wound and I heal. Neither is there any that can deliver out of my hand. Right? So if as Paul says that if was it Paul or was it in Acts? I think it was either Romans or Acts. It says if God be for us, who can be against us? And that's so true. Because here, the Lord is, making known his power unto us, that he's the one that kill and he's the one that make alive. He wounds and he heals. Right? Verse 40 says, and I lift up my hand to heaven and say, I live forever. If I wet my glittering sword and mine hand take hold on judgment, I will render vengeance to mine enemies and will reward them that hate me. I will make my arrows drunk with blood, and my sword shall devour flesh, and that with the blood of the slain and of the captives from the beginning of revenges upon the enemy. So the Lord is actually, is a warrior. He has his sword, he has his bow, and he has his arrow, ready to make a great slaughter, right? And he says that it will be a slaughter out of his enemies. Now, right now, 2/3 of our people, the unbelievers of our people, are enemies of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Just as it says in Luke, says they man enemies which would that I should not rule over them, bring hither and slay them before me. Right? So all the enemies of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai will be destroyed. So if you are hopeful elect, then you're the one that's been protected, right? You're the ones that he's actually avenging, right? It says, rejoice, O nations, with his people, for he will avenge the blood of his servants and will render vengeance to his adversaries and will be merciful upon his land and to his people. Right? Now let me check the word rejoice right here. All right, so to cry out. The first definition says it says you have to overcome, and then it has to be overcome. Right? So in this case, the nations are the ones that are going to be overcome. Because guess what? Yahweh Hashem Yahushua is going to overcome them. For his elect, as it says down here, it says, for he will avenge. It says, rejoice, O ye nations, with his people, for he will avenge the blood of his servants and will render vengeance to his adversaries and will be merciful unto his land and to his people. So the reason why they should actually cry out, they're going to be crying out as someone that is being overcome. Right? They're going to shout out. Right? But guess what? There will be none to deliver out of his hand. Right? Let's get a quick example from well, maybe not the full example, but let's get something right here. Um all right, this is Exodus chapter 14 and verse I'll start at verse 27. It says, And Moses stretched forth his hand over the sea, and the sea returned to its strength when the moving appeared, and the Egyptians fled against it. And Yahweh overthrew the Egyptians in the midst of the sea. And the waters returned and covered the chariots and the horsemen, and all the host of Pharaoh that came into the sea after them. There remained not so much as one of them. But the children of Israel walked upon dry land in the midst of the sea, and the waters were a wall unto them on the right hand and on their left. Right? It says, Thus Yahweh saved Israel that day out of the hand of the Egyptians, and Israel saw the Egyptians dead upon the seashore. And Israel saw that great work which Yahweh did upon the Egyptians, and the people feared Yahweh and believed Yahweh and his servant Moses. And it's in time to come, when we are delivered, ultimately from the ICBM missiles, when all is said and done, the fear of Yahweh is going to be on the face of the earth, and also his servants are going to be acknowledged, right? Now, as it says that, right after that happened to the Egyptians, let's continue. Chapter 15, verse 1. Then sang Moses and the children of Israel this song unto Yahweh, and spake, saying, I will sing unto Yahweh, for he had triumphed gloriously. The horse and his rider had he thrown in the sea. And Yahweh is my strength and song. He is become my salvation. He is my power, and I will prepare him an habitation, my father's power, and I will exalt him. Verse 3 is the point. Yahweh is a man of war. Yahweh is his name, right? So he's a man of war, because he basically slaughtered the Egyptians for the children of Israel. As it was saying in Deuteronomy, said that if he should hold if he should hold his glittering sword, Salakia, and take hold on judgment, right? It's gonna be bloody, right? It says Pharaoh chariots and his host had he cast into the sea. His chosen captains also are drowned in the Red Sea, right? The depths have covered them; they sank to the bottom as a stone. So at the end of the day, they will be overcome, right? Yeah, the Lord will actually overcome them. Slakia, not overcome, but the Lord will overcome them, right? Verse 6 says, Thy right hand, O Yahweh, is become glorious in power. Thy right hand, O Yahweh, hath dashed in pieces the enemy. And we also know that Yahweh Shai is sometimes referred to as the Lord's right hand, right? It says, And in the greatness of excellency, thou hast overthrown them that rose up against us. Thou sentest forth thy wrath, which consumed them as stubble. So, just as the Lord fought for Israel here, and as you can see in verse 3 that he's a man of war, well, not a man, but you get the point, he will actually fight for us again, especially for the hopeful elect on this side, which those that will be making it from this side, Yahweh Hashem Yahushua will be fighting for us, right? Next precept is Zephaniah 3 and verse 8. It says, Therefore wait ye upon me, saith Yahweh, until the day that I rise up to the prey. For my determination is to gather the nations, that I may assemble the kingdoms, to pour upon them mine indignation, even my fierce anger, for all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy. So you see that? The Lord is going to fight for us. Yahweh Hashem Yahushai is going to fight for us in these last days. So with Jacob's trouble right around the corner here, all we need to do is to pray for the Lord to build our faith and to give us the spirit to overcome. Right? because he will fight for us, right? Next precept, which I think will be the last precept. Let me double check this list. Right. This is Luke 18 and verse 7. It says, and shall not, as you know, this is the parable of the unjust king, or I think it's called it the cry of the widow, if I remember clearly. As a matter of fact, let me just go through the whole thing real quickly. Right? It says, and he spake a parable unto them to this end, that men ought to always pray and not faint. And that's the thing. The only way Yahweh Shem Yahushai will fight for you is if you pray and ask to be delivered. If you pray and ask him to fight for you. Right? Verse 2, saying, there was in a city a judge which feared not God, neither regarded men, or regarded man. And there was a widow in that city, and she came unto him, saying, avenge me of mine adversary. And he would not for a while, but afterward he said within himself, though I fear not God, nor regard man, yet because this widow troubleth me, I will avenge her, lest her continual coming she weary me. And that's what we should be doing, if we want to be delivered, if we want Yahweh Shem Yahushua to fight for us, just as he fought for our forefathers. But then we have to weary him, we have to continually call upon him, pray to him, to deliver us. Verse 6, and Yahweh said, and the Lord said, hear what the unjust judge said, and shall not God avenge his own elect, which cry day and night unto him, though he be along with them? I tell you that he will avenge them speedily. Nevertheless, when the Son of Man cometh, shall he find faith on earth? And that's the thing, we need to have that faith, right? It's a question, shall we find faith on earth? Because, it's going to be some terrible times. It's going to be some terrible times, and only those who truly believe will be delivered, right? So we need to remember that Yahweh Shem Yahushai will fight for us, right? It says, shall God not avenge his own elect? Let's look up the word avenge real quickly.
Strong's G 1557. Ekdikesis.
So it said a revenging of vengeance, punishments. Right? It says meting out of justice, doing justice to all parties. Right? Vindication, retribution, punishment. So he's going to punish those that actually came up against us. He will fight those that come up against us, primarily Esau, which is the so-called white man, and the other nations, because this precept that we read in Deuteronomy is directed towards the heathen. The precept that we read in Zephaniah 3 is also guided onto directed towards the heathen. The example from Exodus was based on what? The triumph of Yahweh Shem Yahushai over the Egyptians, which are heathen, right? And he is the so-called is the new Pharaoh, right? So the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushai will fight for us. That's where our champion, that's where our strength lies. They are our champions, right? Yahweh through Yahweh Shai. That's where those are the ones that will fight for us, and the holy angels, as it says in Daniel 12. As a matter of fact, let me close off with that. I wasn't even thinking about that precept, but let me close with that. Right? This is Daniel 12 verse 1. It says, at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people, and there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to the same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book. Right? So Michael shall stand up, and fight for thy people, for the children of thy people, the elect. Right? Yahweh Shem Yahushua will fight for us. Right? We have the hopeful elect. Lord willing, we have that number. Right? So hey, Just like that, with that, I really hope that this was edifying. Once more, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Rakak. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Shalom to the brothers in the highways and byways pushing this word in all sincerity and truth. The sisters, the believers, the helps. Shalom.